G'day, Owen here from The Professional Builder, here to walk you through the sales script section of the sales framework, okay? So this part features directly after the qualifying part. So once you've qualified a lead, the lead has come in, you have then qualified it, and you deem it to be worthy of your time because it has given some of its time in completing a questionnaire. You are now getting a phone call with it. So you get to talk to the lead, you get to qualify it some more, position it well. The next step from this process is the site visit and the wow information pack, okay? So what we've got here is a sales script, okay? And it's really important to learn, rehearse, practice this script, make it your own, and make sure that you can deliver it well, okay? Because if you can, this part is really critical in training both your team. Okay, this is probably one of the first parts of the sales process that you will get out of that's actually selling when you decide to leverage yourself from the sales process. And it's also a really good framework to make sure that you're a great sales professional, both yourself and your team. So if you don't do this part right, you're going to struggle with positioning yourself as the expert. You're going to struggle with, making sure that your prospect really understands the next step. You'll probably find that the prospect tries to take control of the process and begins to call the shots, and you may not be, elevated as the trusted advisor or authority in your niche. So in sales, there's either you're following their process or they're following your process. If they're following your process, they'll go to the next stage, okay? And you get to call the shots. If you're following their process, it'll probably get to the end of a sales call, and then they'll probably say something like, hey, looks great, I'll have a think about it and we'll be back to you, sort of thing. That's you following their process. So either you follow their process or they follow your process. If you don't use a script like this, more likelihood of you following their process than them following yours, okay? Let's go through things and get this spot on. So we've broken this section down into general sales delivery around tone, pace, positioning, and around a second point of contact with the new prospects, the triage call or phone call, okay? So this is the triage. The triage is incredibly important for the positioning of yourself, your team, and really just qualifying the lead and elevating the importance of the next step in the process, which would usually be a site visit. Okay. Now, at the previous step, the prospect would have completed some questions and chosen a time to have this call with whoever is doing the sales call, usually yourself to start with, and then probably the next person that you want to leverage out to do sales. Okay, it could be somebody in the office or your marketing person or whatever. Usually it's the director to start with, but this is definitely one of the first steps in the sales process that you would be able to hand over to your team in the office and train them in. So download the script, print this one out and have it in your hand, and let's go through it together right now so that you can write some notes as we go. So I'll run through the script entirely and break down the main points and basically the points that need to be emphasized. So let's start at the top. Okay, so let's say a lead has come through, they've qualified themselves. At the end of those questions that they qualified themselves with, they chose a time. I like to do sales on a Thursday afternoon, okay? So this is fallen into my calendar, this call for a Thursday afternoon. Hey John, you're speaking with Owen. I've got a note here in my diary that we have our call now. Is that right? Awesome, fantastic. Hey, now I've got to know a few other calls after yours, so we'll need to stick to time, but my job's really easy, John. I just want to ask a few questions and work out if we're the best builders for your project. If we're not, I'll let you know politely. I'll point you in the right direction, okay? But if we are, what we'll do is we'll book in a site meeting and go more in depth into your project. Is that okay? Awesome. All right. So what I've done here straight away is a couple of things. I've actually positioned them straight off the bat. I've told them that we're calling now because they chose a time, okay, with me. I'm also telling them that I'm busy and that my time is valuable. So I've got a few other calls after yours. To take this a step further, you'd actually just say you've got like 3 or 4 calls after yours, okay? Your positioning will become your position, okay? So at the moment, you might not have 1 or 2 calls, but honestly, after a while, once you get this sales and marketing thing rolling, you might have 1 or 2 calls after theirs, and you do need to stick to time. It doesn't have to be a sales call either. It could be a call to the merchant or a call to your team. The point is you're positioning them that your time is valuable, that you need to stick to it, and that you'll be following your process and a framework to make sure that you do stick to it, okay? You'll be answering the questions, and if we can't help, we'll point you in the right direction. If we can help, the next step is already being framed up. You're pressure testing by saying, is that okay? And if it's not, then it's a bit of a red flag, right? it's always all right. I've never had anybody say that it's not okay. But if somebody were to say, no, that's not fine, you can just go, well, John, we won't be able to help you if we don't know more about the specifics. So really, I just want to ask a few specifics about things like where you're at with the process, what's important to you, who the decision makers are, like if you've got a partner or anything, how big your family is, what your budget is, things like that, okay? So you just jump straight into the next part. Remember, you can't control the person in sales, you can only control the process. So really, if they're not participating, just drag them through this process as best you can, okay? If they are participating, go through this process as thoroughly as possible. So that's step one. Step two, okay? So John, tell me a little bit about the specifics of your project. Things like timeline, number of family members, whether you want, open plan living or lock up and leave it. And then you're going to listen. You're going to write notes over the script that is in front of you for every single sales call so that you can refer back to them before the site visit, okay? You should be writing word for word exactly what they're saying to you for a couple of reasons. Number one, whatever they're saying to you is absolutely what they want. And if you read it back to them at the end, they're going to think you're an absolute genius, okay? People will believe that you have the answer when you are able to have the conversation that they're having in their brain, okay? So if they're telling you what conversation they're having in their brain, and all you need to do is write those notes and play it back to them. Secondly, you take word for word exactly what they're saying, and now you've got copy that you're going to write in your Facebook, Instagram, website, info pack copy later down the track, okay? If they're going to tell you that things like, I've got 4 family members, I want it to be open plans so that we can entertain people over the summer holidays, we can have people around and not be embarrassed about the shitty outdoor living area. You've now got the exact copy what people want from their builder, and you can use that in a movie copy. So that's points 1 and 2. Awesome, John. All right, so have you built before? And then a follow-up question. How did that build go? And what is the other builder, is XYZ builders quoting this job as well? All right, so do you have land, plans, consent, or have you just got a truckload of ideas? Awesome, all right. Who's in the family then, John? Like, what's important? You got kids? Oh, awesome, dude. Yeah, fantastic. No, we've got a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old as well. Excellent. And what's your wife's name? Oh, just a partner? Excellent. No, fantastic, John. Awesome. Okay. Yep, no, I got a partner as well, yep. So John, why is this important to you? In the questionnaire, you said it was important because you want to entertain more on the weekends, is that right? Okay, so tell me, John, a little bit around your budget. Have you got financing for this? Or will it be self-funded? Okay, sure thing. So the whole way through here, guys, you need to be doing a lot of different things. You need to be basically writing down names, important things, notes, concerns that they have, and specific things that they want fixed and solved. The other reason that this is important is because you're really listening to them, okay? You're taking on board what they want to start with, and you're getting all the information that you need. Disclosure builds trust. It builds credibility, okay? So the more somebody's going to disclose to you, the more they are going to trust you. And as you can see, the questions around budgeting and finance are at the bottom here. After they've told you their family names, their kids' names, and everything else that's important, all right? If you ask that at the beginning, they're going to put a wall up. They're probably just going to lie to you, not answer it, be a bit vague, give you a massive budget between 500 and $1 million, something super unhelpful. But if you can ask that towards the end, after you've made a real connection with this person, they're going to be a lot more honest. Not all the time, but generally speaking, okay? And asking the questions around financing will give you a better idea around budget. Not just them saying, hey, yeah, I've got 500K, but hey, we've got private financing, or we're doing a remortgaging or whatever. Cool, so the next part is really where you're gonna feed things back. So, okay, John, let me make sure that we're on the same page here. You're wanting to open up the living room and add 3 more rooms so that Jill, Mary, and Phil can have their own rooms in the new house. And so that you and Donna are able to entertain on the weekends, okay? And make sure that you've got open plan living space and a pool out the back for over summer, all right? You've got a budget of $600,000, meaning that we really need to work out the specifics around the plans and work with that architect that you've got an idea with to make sure that we bring our scope of works into our budget. Now, is this about right, or am I missing something big here, John? If you have made your notes correctly, if you have identified what their key concerns and worries were, and if you are confident enough to sit in front of the phone and to talk down it about the specifics and the benefits that those specifics will add, okay, in terms of what they're wanting to do and the specific benefits they will add, this is where the sale is made, okay? If you can do this part and execute it properly, well, with real specificity, it's going to start becoming a layup to the next point. They're probably going to say something like, no, that's absolutely bang on. That's exactly what I want to achieve. And they're going to start getting excited, okay? So this is where, because they're going to start getting excited, you're able to really take control of the process here and become a lot more dominant, all right? So just something on tone that I should have mentioned earlier, guys, particularly in the beginning part, you're not friendly, okay? This is a part where you're really setting the tone, okay? You're being quite very minimal encouragements, okay? And you're really just opening the floor for them to take control of the situation. At this point here, you can, make a connection with them. Open yourself by lowering your tone and making sure that you find some common ground, okay? And at this point here, the sort of tone and tonality that we want is to be quite matter of fact. You're analyzing like a doctor, okay? Remember, it's an audition for them, not for you. If they've got a bleeding neck, you could care less. Somebody's going to go into a doctor. The doctor's not going to keep following you up to make sure that you're taking your medication, okay? He doesn't care. He hopes that you do, but he doesn't really care, okay? You, on the other hand, you're the doctor, okay? He might come back to you, he might not, but you don't care. You've got other work to do. You've got other stuff to do. It's his responsibility solving his home, okay? So you're just a doctor. You're just analyzing and telling him what he needs to do, okay? Then it's this part. This is where you're going to take control again and be a lot more authoritative in your delivery. And really, this is where you want to put on your alter ego, whatever that might be. Put on your cape. You're the superhero at this point. You're going to take control of the situation. All right, John, we can definitely help with your project. Sounds like it could be a good idea for us to get together and go over a couple of things. Now, obviously, we need to discuss your project in more detail and find out a bit more about what exactly you're trying to achieve. Go over any concerns you might have, and I will tell you some more about XYZ builders and explain our process of how we go through things at the different stages, planning and pricing, etc. Now, we'd work out 3 key things together at this next stage. Number 1, exactly what you need to do to get your plans, designs, council consents sorted, okay? We'll work out if there's any areas we can maximize your budget in to make sure that we are really getting the best out of this project that you want. And then we'll finally also work out an expected timeline of when you might be able to start building your project and when you might be able to start moving into your new home. Now, this next meeting, it's a no obligation meeting, but it is the next step. So we can meet face to face and get a better understanding of if we're a good fit, and we'll gather some more real specifics about your project. So at the end of this session, it's okay to say no, this might not work for us. It's also okay to say yes, let's get some more accurate prices and the ball rolling. All we ask out of respect for our time at the end of that consultation is you give us either a yes or a no, and whether you'd like to keep this process moving forward together. Are you comfortable with that? Awesome, John. Okay. Remember, in sales, it's all about micro commitments and clear next steps. All we're doing at this point is we're selling the clear next step, okay? And what you need to do is identify very clearly what your next step is going to be, okay? That's why the questionnaire you should know before you go into this phone call what the clear next step will be. It will be either A or B or C. It'll be like A will give you a timeline, a preliminary budget, and a whatever. Basically, the next step is always going to be a site visit from here or a meeting face-to-face. And in that site visit or in that meeting face-to-face, you're going to work out 3 key things together, okay? and the benefits of those things. It might be a rough budget, a rough timeline, and put you in touch with some key people that will help you move to the next step after that. You just need to know before you go into here so that you can deliver this part clearly and confidently. If you can't deliver this part clearly and confidently, you need to practice again. You need to work out what your next step is, and you then need to practice 7 or 8 more times. So John, have you got your calendar handy there? We are available for site meetings on Tuesday and Thursday at either 4 p.m. or 8 a.m. Which of these would you like to take advantage of? All right. So John, is there anyone else that you want part of the decision-making process you'd like to have there? Is Mary going to join us? No? Oh, well, what do we need to do to get her to that meeting? I think it'd be really beneficial if we can both be there. Okay? If they propose a new time, John, I don't typically do this, but I am excited by your project. We would need to make sure that this isn't rescheduled again, because I'm going to put some time aside to prepare for this session and make sure that we get the best and most from it. So we're locking in this time? Okay, excellent. All right, so you're locking in a time and you're sticking to it. You should never, ever, ever finish a sales meeting or call without identifying a very clear next step. And that very clear next step needs to have real specificity, a time and a date to it. Okay? So that's where this part is. You often get them to commit to a day before you get them to commit to the next person, because this next person is just going to propose more challenges, obstacles, and problems. Get them to make a commitment to a time first, and then they'll often make it work around that other person and make that other person get there. Otherwise, it's you against 2, where it's becoming 2 against 1. Okay? So make sure that you do this part before that part. And most importantly, have your times and dates ready before this call. The worst thing you want to do is go, oh, let me have a look at my calendar then. Crikey, jeepers, when am I free? When am I free? No, you're free every Tuesday and every Thursday, because you've already identified this in your default diary. Okay? And then most importantly, you're booking this in for about a week away. And this is so that there is time for not just you to prepare, but to have your marketing get there, do the heavy lifting of sales, and educate them on who you are, who your team are, how they can trust you, and how you can help them specifically. So basically, so that your info pack can get there on time. And this is the close. Now, before next week, Tuesday at 4:30, there are 3 easy things that we need to do, John, to make sure that we all get the best value out of this consultation. Now, firstly, we're going to send you an info pack that will tell you more about who we are, what we do, and exactly how we help. What's the best address to send this to? Is it the place where we're having the site meeting, or is it a current other place? Awesome, write that down. Secondly, can you make a list or a scrapbook or any screenshots or anything that you've got of design inspiration that you have for this project? This is going to give us a really clear idea about how we might price things and what your scope works and budget is going to look like. All right, and lastly, I'll send you some of our behind the scenes videos and portfolio videos, just so that you get a clear idea about the clients that we work with, the way that we conduct ourselves and our services, and the results that we get with our clients. It's really important that you watch these before next week so I can answer any questions that you have. All right, John, we're all locked in for next Thursday at 4:30. I have a full page of notes here, so we pick up right where we've left off next week. If you have our number, and we'll send you a confirmation email after this. If you have any questions, please do let us know. Awesome. Thanks, John. Talk soon. See you later. All right. Super easy. You've controlled the process. Okay. You have positioned them. You have told them exactly what we're going to cover. You've given them some homework, because participation leads to commitment. Okay, so the more that we can get them to participate, the better. And what we need to do from here is we need to then send them that info pack, send them the confirmation email with case studies and video testimonials, or any videos that you've got, okay, pictures of your work, anything like that, all right? And then make sure that you send them a reminder before the meeting, and make sure that they don't reschedule. what we've got here is the exact framework for that script that you're going to want. Make sure that you have these notes printed out and like you write over this script with notes from this video and have that with the blank scripts that you have for every time you do a call. Okay. Now, it doesn't matter how good you get at this call, how good you get at sales in general, you should always use a script and have it in front of you, okay? After you've done that, it's time to basically role play, okay? So grab a person, grab a mirror, and role play through the script until you're confident and you have what it takes. Make sure that you're confident in the delivery, in the questions, and you know the script and it's in your brain so that you can do it. The benefit of having this call before your site visit is that because it's a phone call, you can have the script in front of you and be reading it word for word, and they will never know, especially if you rehearse and you understand and you do this regularly, okay? Now, if you're at the end, you've done all this, post a picture of your new script for these qualifying stages, post that picture into the Facebook group to celebrate systemizing the first part of your sales process. Well done, you've systemized the first part of your sales process. Now just time to practice, train, and implement. Okay, so let's go and smash it. All the best to you. We'll see you at the next part. Cheers.